Drew's just taking his shirt off on the internet again.
Oh my God, Drew! I can't let you just do that. It's wrong.
Actually, I'm getting a little warm.
Wait, before I show which shirt I'm switching into, which I realize now is just flash from my titty. Oh God, I realize what the stinger is going to be. And now I'm scared.
Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fine episode of Record Breakers. I'm Petey Ray, your man with no plan. Here with me is my team, my squad. Squad roll out. We got Brett.
G Unit.
We've got Drew.
What just happened?
And we got Patrick.
Regulators! Mount up.
And of course, we're talking about music. The provider of said music is me. And I decided to bring up a little bit of a Korean hip-hop, some veterans of the game in Korean hip-hop. We have Epik High, with a K at the end of Epik. Epik High with their most recent album, Shoebox. Their second album that they've released now under YG Entertainment. Their latest offering in their over a decade-long career. Epik High is three guys. It's Tablo and Mithragen on the mic, and DJ Two Cuts on the ones and twos occasionally, but mostly taking care of the production work. And this is an interesting record, and it's one that I've been enjoying ever since it came out, and I can listen to on repeat. I have to ask you guys. I'll start with Patrick. What expectations did you have coming into this album?
So one time in a hangout, I think with you and Kaz, you made me listen to a song off of this, or specifically watch the video for a song called Born Hater. And I was sort of like, I don't know whether this is good or bad. And then I forgot all about it, and then I saw the track list for this, and I was like, wait a second. And when I got to that song, I'm like, I feel like I've heard this before. Went back, found the video. Yes, I had heard this before. And that was it. I knew it was Korean hip-hop because you told me so.
Yes. Brett, did you have any expectations coming into this album?
None whatsoever. I had no expectations other than I knew that I was getting a translation. So I knew it was most likely from Korea because that is where it comes from. And I heard there may be some hip-hop. So the hip-hop part and the Korean part and the translation part led me to believe that it was going to be something of that nature that I would need to do extra homework, and I did a week's extra homework.
Yes,
I listened to this album so much.
Yes, Drew, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
Well, usually when I get hip hop from South Korea, from your Kaz, it is we want to be like the rappers in America sort of hip-hop to me. It's very much we know what sounds gangster and hard and rap, so we're going to do that. So,
says a white man from Cleveland. So let's just put that caveat
Cleveland represents in the hip-hop scene.
One, Bone Thugs and Harmony, fuck you. Two,
he's not technically from Cleveland.
The heart of rock and roll is still beating him.
45 minutes south. Thank you. But no, that's usually what I expect. When I get Korean hip hop is, hey, Drew, you're going to laugh, and usually I laugh. So I was a little worried.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Shoebox is an interesting record. Epik High is an interesting group, to say the least. The creative core of Epik High is basically Tablo. Tablo is the most popular member of the group, and Mithra is the second most popular member of the group. Tablo's daughter is probably more popular than Mithra or DJ Two Cuts. And I can tell you from a variety show that's true. But he's the creative force. He usually is at the center of the emotion or the thoughts of many of the songs. But it's also contributed well by Mithra. It's a hip hop record, more than it is Korean rap. And we don't want to get into the argument over that, but it is more classic hip hop. It uses a lot of samples, but some live instrumentations. It builds beats that are really cool and interesting. Has a lot of different emotions and moods. And a good chunk of it is more thought provoking and introspective. And while with a couple of boasty hip hop rap tracks thrown in there as well, like the aforementioned Born Hater. We'll get into individual tracks in later on, but it does have a mix of emotional tracks, classic hip hop boasting tracks. It has a nice mix of music. And I have to ask you, Patrick, what were the themes and elements that caught your attention?
So from a hip hop perspective, these guys, it's equal parts traditional, like sampling tables, hip hop, and then like this kind of big glass of pop music mixed into it that you don't usually get with American hip hop for the most part, other than like the way I described it, it's like if you took an album like Big Willie style, except it was sincere.
Oh,
like,
wait, whoa,
not,
them's fighting words.
No,
style was true.
But like if you took pop music, like that sort of pop rap that seems really disingenuous, and you made it sincere, like it had the sounds of pop, but like I felt like they were actually trying to say something. And sometimes, I mean, obviously the problem is hip hop is poetry, and when you don't understand the language of poetry, it makes it really hard to understand what's going on. And so I kind of would dial into the music and just sort of the sound of it. It was poppy, but like not in a bad way, like in a kind of sincere attempt to make songs way. And for that, it was actually kind of good.
Brett, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Well, for one, they both speak in English and in Korean. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's a bilingual album, but it is very easily translatable by a very simple Google search. But no, they have a lot of the hip hop like the things you need. You need to have a piano and string track behind. You got to have some you got to have the boastful, if you will say, track. But it sort of adds something a little different because, you're working with a language structure that doesn't, there are different ways that like rhyming in hip hop might not be as, it may be difficult in the English language, but in other languages, rhyming is so simple. Or finding a way to twist words is different, but the way that they intermix the Korean and the English and the amount that they do is noteworthy just in itself. It definitely assumes that you are going to be an educated listener to be able to get the message that they're trying to get across.
Mm-hmm. And we can actually talk about some of the things like that. Drew, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Like I said, I was expecting a more... No, I knew this was a hip-hop record, but I was expecting that bravado. But this is very, like Swagger said, it's very much more a hip-hop record. The way the piano works in some of the songs is really, really great, in my opinion. Everything mixed really well, from the beat to, like, the melody parts that they put in. The lyrical flow was great. And there's a couple of songs where the singing comes through, and the singing always mixes really well. But to go into Brett's point, I came into this not very educated, not going to lie to you. So when I listened to it, I would hear the English, and the English to me would go, oh, I'm going to and then it would go back into Korean. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna. Okay, crap. So like it kept like twisting me in that weird way, which kind of stunk. But overall, it was really really well done. Felt like it had some really good, like, in my opinion, like it sounded sort of like that 90s hip hop, like Swagger said a bit, that pop sort of hip hop rap sound. A little bit of the 90s R&B flow to it as well, but like just really solid all around. And it did feel genuine from back to front, which is something that I believe the last time we talked about Korean music, I sort of harped on was it felt like in a bubble, and this didn't to me.
Yeah. And I think a big contribution is the fact that Tableau himself is from the States. and the English is so expertly mixed in because Tableau, in fact, has I want to say, let's see.
He has a master's from UCLA,
master's degree in
or
creative,
or Stanford.
He's a master's degree in creative writing from Stanford University and a bachelor's in English literature.
Moreover, it's whether or not he can perform music really well and have the diction of the English language be really, really well performed. He is automatically expecting for his art form to be translated by somebody who knows both languages or is willing to pull down the website that I did and read along with. It is very high-minded to be like, if you want to get the full breadth of mine, I expect you to go through this process, to hear my poetry as one would.
Yeah, he is, and it's part of being a kind of a guy of two worlds, being a Korean American and then going to Korea, which is kind of cool. But let's get into some key tracks. I would say, I could do the Record Breakers thing, talk about Encore. It starts off really cool, like an interesting mood with the strings coming in, kind of this bed, and then it just kicks into the hip hop beat, and you hear the sample in the background. I was saying I didn't realize the show was over, and kind of announcing that they're back, because it'd been 2 years since their last album. And this was really kind of their real true to form comeback. So an interesting start. You have really cool, thoughtful songs like Amor Fati, which was really interesting lyrical content. Really interesting song. The vocals are cool, and the starts off with the words "God doesn't love me." And it's like, whoa, okay. And then goes into some really cool stuff. You had songs like Lesson 5. Timeline that goes into really cool stuff, including name dropping McCarthyism in there, which, if you know anything about the current climate of South Korean politics, you know how fitting that is. You have other songs like then you have the boastful and more classic rap songs like Burj Khalifa with Yankee and Gecko, which was just a really cool beat, really cool raps, had a cool style to it, and Gecko kills it. And then Born Hater. The song that, the aforementioned Born Hater, all the guests on that track, you had guys like Verbal Gent, who many people credit with actually figuring out how they can rhyme in Korean, because there was a time in Korean hip hop where they were, they kind of abandoned the idea of rhyming, as opposed to what we think of, like, an East Asian language. But Verbal Gent innovated that. You had, guys like Benzino, guys like, and a couple of young guys like B.I., Bobby, and Mino from Winter. Just having a classic Pass the Mic track that was just fun, and the beat was cool. But yeah, Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you? What some of the tracks that caught your attention?
I will echo the Record Breakers thing. Encore has a really good sort of 70s vibe and a good beat to it that builds on that. And you get a good notion of there's two very different voices on tracks between, Tableau and Mithra, each with their own unique style. And I think that really, when you have a group in hip hop, it's good to have two people that know how to work together and also have their own distinct way of doing their thing. And I absolutely love Born Hater, and I don't even know why. The video is really reasonably clever. The song is an old school, like, early 90s, just pass the mic to everyone in the room track, and it really, really works. It is clearly, like, it's the most over-the-top hip-hop track of the album, but it does it so well, I can't fault it. It's fun. It's the one coming home from work on Friday. I had my car back on the road, which has the Ludacris stereo in it, and I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to blast Born Hater in this while driving home, and it was perfect for that. The rest of it, there was a lot of like really like poppy, sappy, slow jammy things going on, like Spoiler, which was totally like slow jam kind of thing, and it worked fairly well. It's very, like I said, it's very poppy at times, and I feel like maybe it's just something I'm finding that in American music, if you're not a pop group, being poppy is usually like your death knell. Everyone will call you a sellout and hate you. I feel like in Korea, being slightly poppy doesn't have quite that disingenuous nature to it. It's just it is a style that they mix in rather than like an effort to be the most popular thing in the universe and devolve what they're doing.
Yeah,
so it kind of was fun. I just feel like they have a different take on it than we do. Like if a serious hip hop group came out in America came out with an album this poppy, everyone say they had sold out and gone soft and were horrible, and it would be talked about.
I would say that they did experience that because throughout their career, they started off with they've been around forever, so they've just built a repertoire. They've been more poppy than most. They are fairly mainstream, and they've had that flack where few people feel like, well, they've kind of gone pop, they've kind of gone soft, and this was more closer to a return to form, to more hip hop style. But it obviously with their track record, they still have that remnants of that influence. Just being around the business. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I'm gonna skip the record breakers thing and go to Happen Ending because the piano intro in that was just really, really cool. The female vocal was really cool in that. There was something that was really catchy about that song. I really liked that song a lot. It was probably my favorite song on the record was Happen Ending. Born Hater, I love, like, for some reason in, like, rapping and hip-hop and stuff like that, I love sort of a harsh, like, staccato beat. There's something cool about that to me, and that sort of is something I look for when I'm listening to that, and that was cool. Also, I was looking it up, and I remember this video now. I think I was in this hangout that we talked about this video on. A really cool concept. If nothing else, go watch this video for the concept of it. It's sort of like that idea. Everybody's watching things on their phone now, and then watch that, and it's cool. And then I'm gonna go, like, to me, one of the other really good songs, and it was right up there with Happen Ending as like a song that really stood out to me, was Life is Good. There's something that's just sort of good, chill hip hop about that. We talked earlier about Will Smith and Big Willie style and all that. This is the one that, to use a phrase, to use a reference, I feel like I should set my car in cruise and just lay back and just drive around. It's Ohio in February. I really can't do that. It's not the right time. But it's that feeling that you got.
You wanted to get jiggy with it? Is that what you're trying to say? You're really wanting to?
Yeah, it did have the styles of J Park.
Could have went with the right song, and I would have been happy. And now I'm sad.
Yeah.
Now I'm
talking about
sad.
summertime. Summertime is what we're talking about. Summertime.
Here, but no, like, and that one, like, was just really, just sort of that fun, relaxed, chilled out mode, sort of hip hop song, and I really enjoyed it. So.
Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Okay, it opens up with a 1 minute and 30 seconds of fanfare. That is bold. Like as I was listening through this album, I was like, that's a whole minute and a half before somebody says something that I have not heard in a long time. Like, noteworthy. I really, really enjoyed Born Hater. I wish that they would have used like a bass, like a fuzzed out bass for the bass line. Other than that, it is another one of those tracks, the testament of hip hop humility. It's got everything you want. The Burj Khalifa. I believe this song is about smoking drugs, but I'm not sure. It could also be about a big building. But it had sort of a Harlem Shake groove to it.
Yeah.
Please explain to me, Petey. Please explain.
Well, I would say it's like using drugs as a metaphor, but I would say like it's like I would probably say it's probably double layer, like triple layer, where at the surface it has that name, but then it's drugs as a metaphor for addictive music and style. But then the
tell me about the availability of drugs in South Korea. Is it like not something good. That? Yeah, okay. It's not something that is readily.
Asian governments don't take kindly to drugs and drug traffickers.
That's what I figured. But then I just want to put a little pin in the.
That's why I say triple layers.
I want to make sure that everybody knows that there is a line on the track "Rich." Is you happy? And all I could think of is Paula Deen. Being is what she is, but other than that, I want it to be known that I heard that and I enjoyed it.
I'm surprised you didn't hear "That's No and enjoy that. Born Hater.
The fact that you picked that out was very distressing, Brett.
Very distressing.
Very distressing. And another track that we didn't mention, Eyes, Nose, Lips. I don't know. What did you guys think of Eyes, Nose, Lips as a track, being the English track?
I didn't even notice that it was the English track.
I actually managed to know that this was more English than the rest of the album. I don't know how I feel about like a super feelsy song on a hip hop record. I don't know if that is two worlds that very rarely go together. Usually hip hop is either like the stuff that I tend to listen to is either like old Run DMC, crazy like over the top NWA, or like super serious like Black Star or the Roots, where like they're trying to say something. I don't know how I feel about feelsy hip hop.
Yeah. Understood. It's interesting to note that it is a cover of the song that was just released before of the guy that's guesting, and at this point I consider it the only version of the song that matters, because the original version of Eyes, Nose, Lips is not that good.
It's sort of like the Anthrax and Public Enemy version of Bring the Noise is superior to the original Public Enemy version.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are some of the tracks. So let's bring it back around the horn to kind of hear your final thoughts. Patrick, what would be your thoughts overall on the record?
I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would. I was really worried. My experience with Korean hip hop goes back to a friend I had in college who was half Korean, and I have no idea what it was. It was some try hard gangsta ass Korean hip hop group, 7-8 years ago that he had, and it was very try hard, and it was interesting from a novelty perspective, but little more. Whereas I feel like I kind of wish I understood the language, because there's definitely more here, and I might even go as far as like popping up their last album on Spotify and kind of working my way back and seeing if there's more gold in the hills, because there's some fun here. It's well executed. It's well put together. And Born Hater is one of my new, like, I have 5 minutes in my car and I want to crank up the stereo songs.
Born Hater is fun, especially with some of the fun wordplay. If you heard, I imagine, I don't know if you noticed, Shipal, them saying Shipal a couple of times, a couple of rappers, is they were saying 18, 10, 8. Shipal is 18. Shibal is fuck or fucking. It's a curse word. So they were playing around with cursing while not cursing, which is fun in that song. It just makes it for some great moments. Drew, what would be your thoughts on the album overall?
Overall, I think it was really, really well done. Usually, as I said, a couple of times on the Korean stuff that we've done, that I can remember, is that the overall, like, supreme ridiculous polish that usually comes when you bring us something from Korea, something about it feels disingenuous, to me. And that's because some of them were sort of pieced together or whatever, and that's sort of the thing. This was great from beginning to end from top to bottom. It was super well put together, super well produced. All the tracks were really, really well thought out from a compositional standpoint, and none of it felt at any point disingenuous. It sounded like we've been here it sounds like they've been around the music scene for a while. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly how to get it perfect, and they're okay with that. And that, to me, is really, really cool. It's a really fun record, from top to bottom. So
yeah, they've been around since 2001 making music. So it's like they've been doing it for a while, on different labels. Brett, what would be your thoughts at the end of the day?
I listened to this. I read all of the lyrics. I am not known as somebody who is a follower of either hip hop or the pop culture machine that is South Korea. I could find something there. There's gold in them there hills. It's not gold that I would, prefer to mine, but I'm glad that it was handed to me. I had trouble figuring out what differentiated this from a lot of other things, but at the end of the day, I was like, the fact that they had the polish that they had, and the production that they had proved that they had some standing, because you rarely hear crappy bands have really well polished albums, or in any kind of music. There was definitely a novelty to this album, because I can count the amount of times that I've heard a Korean hip hop artist on one hand. Going forward, this is now the benchmark. And I'm curious to see what this is going to rank up to the other things that Petey says, hey, watch this.
Well, it'll be interesting. There might be a double album that we're gonna listen to.
I will say, if we're talking about benchmarks, I think Love X Stereo is my benchmark, and
yes,
this came close to that.
And their new record, just to shout back at Love X Stereo, is pretty cool. Petey convinced me I had to buy it, even though it is some tracks I've heard before. It's pretty good. I'm happy. I can't wait to hear the rest of their stuff.
It's their final form.
Yes, they have fully evolved.
And speaking of Love X Stereo, Epik High and Love X Stereo are sharing a box on their way from China to here, to my house. So I've ordered both these records. So it's gonna be, they're writing together. I even told Love X Stereo, it's like, hey, I ordered your CD. You're also sharing a box with Epik High, somebody named, and they favored it.
Two very different things.
Yes. But I imagine I imagine one is a fan or appreciates the other very much, and would be glad to call them somebody name. But yeah, this record is just an album that I can listen to over and over again. It was a fantastic record when it came out. We went through it. If you want, I'm pretty sure we talked about it at length. Yeah, we talked about it at length on Hallyu-Juku. You can look it up. We had a whole Hallyu-Juku talk segment between this and another album that came out.
So what exactly is Hallyu-Juku?
Hallyu-Juku is an East Asian pop culture podcast that I host with my friend Brandon Cooper, aka King Kaz.
No, the poet laureate of Record Breakers.
Yes, that King Kaz. So if you want to. I would definitely say, because I would definitely say go listen to my other podcasts. I would definitely say go check out that episode if you can look it up on the YouTube page, or go back and listen to that episode where we talked about Epik High, and you can hear both of our full thoughts about the whole album. But at the end of the day, it's just a really fun, really well made pop influenced hip hop record from a bunch of guys that have been around for a while and know what they're doing. And have some interesting thoughts to say. Like, It's some really cool, different moods, different feels, different sounds, and it's put together really well. And it's just a fun record. And it proved that the groove translates amongst many languages. You know, the groove has no language and it can translate well.
The groove is in the heart.
Exactly.
Damn it, Drew.
Exactly. But
I'm so glad we were going the same way with that one.
Exactly. But that's it. That's our thoughts. Now we go to our main event of the evening, our haiku reviews. Sum it all up in some bad poetry. Who do we start with? Let's start with Drew. What is your haiku?
Easygoing flow with solid musical backing. Very surprised.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what is your haiku?
Bilingual hip hop. Went in expecting one thing. Met expectations.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Hits real hard at times. Language barriers be damned. Not a bad record.
Mm-hmm. And for last but not least, last and probably least, my haiku. Hip hop veterans show skills and feels and reclaim their territory. And that's it for our thoughts on Epik High. You can check that out on our Spotify playlist. Listen along at home if you're not already. Check out our Spotify playlist. You can listen to this and all the records that we talk about on the show and just play Record Breakers the home game. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's record, and that's going to be provided by none other than Patrick. Patrick, what is next week?
We haven't done metal in a while, or at least not my metal. And I'm going high concept album with Devin Townsend's Ziltoid the Omniscient.
That's going to be interesting. So, listen along at home. Record Breakers the home game on our Spotify playlist. So you can be caught up. But that's it. You can find us all over the internet. Patrick is at The Swagger. Brett is at HeyBibbard, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at XJuciferX. I'm at Petey Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. Record Breakers Podcast at gmail.com. Rebelli.net for this and the other shows. The thing I forgot to mention, next week I'm going to be, actually this week, in just a few days, I'm going to be in Austin. So there's going to be a lot of stuff from South by Southwest, be it K-pop Night Out, Japan Night, Exposure Austin with some Korean artists, and whatever I can get myself into.
Brisket, some pulled pork, maybe.
Rudy's sauce.
Rudy's.
I may just simply take a bath in Rudy's sauce and film that.
And as much pho as you can possibly eat, because it's everywhere and it's amazing.
What the fuck?
Make the joke.
Yes. When you do a pho restaurant, you have to make a pho pun.
Fanatic is the one I've probably eaten the most of.
Yes. But look out for that. That's going to be on the YouTube page. I'm going to be doing videos and stuff, doing some more like actual outside of the podcast content. So look forward to that. Subscribe to the YouTube page. We're youtube.com/RebelliaTV. Well, that's it. Enough spiel. Until next time. Hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.
Get the fuck out of here.
Ooh.